Okay. Sorry, it's kind of cluttered background, not the best. Not able really to film in the apartment complex's gym anymore, but I digress. So I'm just gonna have to shorten my motions, and I'm just gonna give you a brief example of the two weapons, the two-headed, the double weapons system within the Filipino martial arts, and this is just a basic sinawali, right? So this is kind of a weaving pattern, just like so, right? And you can. I'm choking up a bit just so I'm not hitting my background. My girlfriend killed me if I put a hole in her screen there. So yeah, this is just what an example of sinawali. I can do a whole carenza probably outside sometime and show you, right? But there's just different ways I can go upwards, right? Okay, I can go backwards. Okay, so this trains you, coordination and awareness, weapon awareness. Okay, because you're not trying to get yourself hit. And when you train this pattern with a partner, it strengthens your grips, it gives you your coordination and your timing. All right, and it's really only preparing you to handle the actual live blades here. Okay, so I have my espada y daga, all right, or my long and short. Okay, this is about 18 inches. This is about 26 or so, right? So again, there can be, the sinawali can be the same, but it's a little different because these have pointy ends now. All right, so now I can weave in or inward, backhand thrust like that. And so I'm not going to make this a whole sinawali video because that's out of the scope of where I'm going with this. But I'll give you a couple of movements that will can be emulated using the other weapons, right? So here, like I just said, that we have what's called a downward figure eight, right? And as I discussed before, this is aimed primarily at the neck, because or the connective areas and the areas where the arteries are closer to the skin, right? The femoral artery, the brachial artery, the carotid and jugular, the neck. Now the problem with that, trying to hit the bony surfaces that, like a skull, right, is that especially if this is really sharp, it's going to get stuck, right? And so there, when you're doing your carenza or kata, I mean, you may do this and then practice kicking the body off, right, to emulate that. But so therefore you're not primarily trying to aim for the bony area like the femur, because what's going to happen that the bone is pretty dense and thick because it supports your whole weight in your body. So in an opponent, this will get lodged in, and because of the chaos of the battle and adrenaline or whatever, they still have time to do stabby on you while your weapon is stuck. So you have to aim for the circulatory areas and the connective areas of your body. All right. So anyways, this is a downward figure eight, right? So I'm just doing it like that, right? Inward backhand, inward backhand, inward backhand, like that. Inward backhand, inward backhand. There's an upward figure eight, right? This is going more for the femoral arteries, right, or the groin, right? It's an upward figure eight, okay? And a downward figure eight, okay? So 1, 2, 1, 2, right? So normally what we would do is we have a drill where I'll do 3, right? They go up to 8, but I'll do 3. So what would be in my daga's here close to my heart, right? But more or less out of the way, right? So I would be like 1, 2, step, and thrust, right? 1 upward, 2 upward, and thrust low, okay? And then come back, right? And we could train this, with obviously not a live blade, more blunted aluminum blades that we have, or a shortened rattan stick. And we would hit sticks, 1, 2, thrust, all right? And we're going for the throat, right? Not the sternum because it'll get stuck, all right? 1, because that's why our heart and our organs are around this rib cage, right? So we have to get up into it or down into it, right? By the trapezius and your collarbone, right? So 1, 2, thrust up, 1, 2 upwards, thrust low, all right? And then there's 1, 2 downward thrust, backhand, 3, and then 4, all right? Do that again, and this time I'll do it with the espada. So I'm going 1 downward, and this is coming downward. 1, my daga is coming downward. 2, I'm chambering with my right hand, my espada, for a backhand. 3, okay, and then stepping forward with an upward thrust. 4, okay. So that's kind of how that works out. So you just kind of go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And there's a ton of these, right? There's like 8, right? So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Well, I just showed you 3. I'm gonna go through all of those. All right. Now, my main point is that if you know what's going on the internet today, as of August 26th, 2025, all right, this is all the rage right now, okay, because of an unfortunate event that shouldn't have happened, right? So I've got my axe or my tomahawk, and I got my dagger, okay? So if you know, you know, right? And the same things could work, right? Because the motions are all the same. It's just the tools are different, right? So I could do a 1 and a 2 and a thrust, right? I can go upwards 1 and a 2 and thrust, either low or high, or low and high, right? So it becomes a 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. You see how that works? Now I can choke out, all right? And so the handle can be a weapon, right? So we can say maybe this is close range. I'm either striking or I'm slashing. 1, 2 close. They back up. I follow with a thrust, right? I go upwards with the blunt end, right? 2. They back up and I thrust low. All right. So that's kind of how that's working. All right. So and again, I got the sheath on for safety, right? So we can reverse grip this, right? And it's the same thing. Now I've kind of got a wooden weapon, but on the end of it, it's got an axe piece here, which I can hook, right? The back end, I can hook the back of the neck, knee, can knee, thrust, okay? So this is kind of how you would actually use a tomahawk, right? With a dagger, right? I'm just giving some ideas. Problem with the martial arts and being online, doing this kind of stuff is the bad guys get the information too, right? So I'm not going to just disclose too much, but the situation that happened that I'm referring to, with somebody who knows what they're doing, it could have been really ended badly for the other party, okay? Especially if they know what they're doing, right? So I can go 1, 2, all right, downward figure 8, step forward and thrust, all right? Go 1, 2, okay, or I'm hitting with the wooden part, upwards, boom, all right, and then thrust low or high, or 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? You see what I did there, all right? So I'm in reverse grip with the tomahawk, right? 1, they're running. 2, I'm closing in. 3, I'm backhanding with the handle, and then 4, I'm thrusting, right? So that's kind of how this works with using the concepts in the Filipino arts and the progression of the weaponry that you learn, right? So, like I said, the weapon teaches the hand, right? And even, like I mentioned previously, which, it might have been a little bit too long-winded, it may not. But the boxing is the same. We talk about panantukan, right? I'm taking my blade here, it's in my hand. That's why I like this model, the Spyderco model. You see what's happening here? I got a palm stick. I don't have to be deadly with this right away. That's why I like ballet songs, because you can do the same thing with a ballet song or a butterfly knife, right? So it doesn't have to be lethal right away, right? So the difference is now is I can backhand, right? 1, 2, 3, you know, and there's a punch, right? I can stay on camera, sorry, right? You know, I can uppercut, backhand, right? Punch, okay? See how that works? So the weapon teaches the hand. I can go 1 overhand, 2 backhand, right? So if this was if I had 2 palm sticks or 2 blades, right? So this is a 1, okay? So I'm jabbing or just throwing my right hand, right? Jabbing, overhand, backhand, all right? And then backhand, right? Or, you know, thrust with the backhand like that. So that's what I love about the Filipino martial arts. I've been blessed to have great instructors in my life that, you know, through their generosity have given me many things. So thanks to Guru Rick Fay out of the Minnesota Kali Group and Guru Dan Nasano, Eric Paulson, you know, there's lots of names, Greg Nelson, lots of names. So, and you know, I was a career bouncer for 20 years, 20 plus years, various different venues. And back in my younger days, in my 20s, I was kind of my laboratory, my test ground, right? So I'm doing, actually that's how my life was. I was either in school or, you know, working a job, go to the gym, train for 4 or 5 hours, go home, shit, shower, and shave, go to work at the club. So everything that I just worked on, whether it be grappling, boxing, kicking, weapons work, okay, all of that came in immense handy in those situations, right? I was known to be able to diffuse and always try to not use violence indiscriminately, you know. But when I needed to strip a bottle from somebody's hand, I knew the disarms to use. I knew the locks to lock them up and get them out safely. It's just because I was a gym rat like that, right? But anyways, as far as, you know, this is concerned, when pulling out the Tomahawk, right? All right, what happened in the UK or in Scotland, you know, that was not okay, unfortunately, for that poor little girl. You know, I would have want my daughter to do the same thing. I'm sorry, right? That's just the way it is. I don't know whatever you believe or whatever you believe, but, you know, none of us are getting out of here alive. I'm just not going down without a fight, you understand? So I thought I'd make this video, not necessarily in response to that, but I thought there's a teachable moment there because I have that background, that education, these skill sets. And again, I don't walk around with a tomahawk and a big blade in my hand. I just don't. Why? Because I've talked about this before. Almost everything around you can be used as a weapon. Ashtray, a pen, your clothing, doesn't matter, you know. So, you know, to someone like me who's been a martial arts geek all his life and then, you know, been formally trained for the past 30 years in these systems, you know, you can pat me down all you want. You know, I see weapons everywhere, right? And you know, unfortunately, that's the life that I live. Some people are very pacifistic. That's cool. You know, that's what you do, right? And I'm going to protect mine. You know, that's just what it is. And so there's just 2 different ways of living. So, anyways, I'm not going to preach too much on. At the end of the day, you know, UK, clean your stuff up. If you know, you know. And I just don't want to see stuff like that again. Oh, and kids, please don't try this at home. Seriously though, you know, not without the supervision and tutelage from a, you know, a trained, competent, certified martial artist. Okay, so, you know, I'm just, again, it's just a teachable moment, but don't go around swinging axes at people. You know, trying to practice this stuff, especially with the live stuff, even aluminum stuff. You know, you could hurt yourself, you could hurt somebody, and not be wanting to. All right, so, you know, be safe, train hard. You know, just be careful if you choose to do some of this stuff. But there's bound to be nowadays some, you know, wherever you live, a competent martial arts instructor that knows weaponry, or a Filipino martial arts specifically. Who obviously should be trained in the use of weaponry. So just be safe.